Two. Alright, we're gold. So, for some reason, my headset like connected to my computer, like everything was fine, and then but it wouldn't give me any audio. So I was like, "What? What's this?" I tried like restarting my computer. I tried like disabling some of the stuff I use. Like I'm kind of like running through like two different audio programs. So I tried disabling one, see if that'll work. No. Tried disabling the other one, didn't work. No. I disabled both of them and just kind of ran it directly off the headset, and that didn't work. And then I restarted again, and then did that again, and it ended up working. So then I one by one added each sheet, and somehow now it's working. I guess this lot matters. Alright, let's go. Alright, let's get a fucking good ass run here. Oh, oh, okay, already starting off kind of bad here. I already died? What do I have this? Why do I... Hey, it's Sludge. What's up, mate? Oh, God. Oh, Jesus. Thanks for the freaking resub, homie. My game is super freaking loud. Hold on. Holy fuck. Holy crap. Ah! Thanks for the freaking resub, Sludge. You're a freaking legend. Like, how's it going, dude? How's your week going? Can I get a hit in? Did you just belly pop me? Dude, can I freaking attack you? Dude! Holy shit. It's been going well. Heck yeah, that's good to hear. I'm getting slapped on this freaking dude. Crap. You got any plans for Thanksgiving? I think I'm just getting lucky as shit. Don't die? Oh, wow. Dude, I don't even know what's happening, my guy. Ah. It's not looking good here. It's not looking good. Oh, here comes the poop. I don't know how I did that from that. Okay, let's take a second to breathe a little bit here. All right, what's... Holy fuck. Alright. Oh my god. Thank you so much for the free sub, my guy. I freaking appreciate it. You are a freaking legend, my guy. 7 months, absolute legend, my dude. Hope all is well, my guy. We're having a little bit of technical difficulties at the start of the stream, but... Well, I guess not the start of the stream, because I just started, because I was trying to fix stuff. It's a little scuffed, but we're getting there. I'm going to be having Thanksgiving with my family. Oh, heck yeah. My work let us go home with a turkey and some, like, I want to say, like, green beans, corn, and stuff. But I gave it to one of my coworkers because I'm not going to need it, so. Me and my family are having, like, a ham instead. Their turkey is good, but we don't have the room for 2 freaking turkeys because My what's the word? Brother-in-law also works there, and he got a turkey going. So I'm not gonna get too sorry. You know what? I'll just leave. This fight is fucking crazy. Fight is fucking nuts. Oh, I'm dead already? Oh, fuck. Fuck, man, this fight's fucking crazy. What did I do last time? Wow. Goodness gracious. Is this your first time watching me play Sekiro? Sekiro? I'm not really sure. Come on, second. Oh crap, the number's covering up my health. God, he's throwing his poop. No! Oh! Ah! 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 Let's go! Just kidding. He has two faces. Oh god! Oh god! I forgot to shoot. What's the button for that? Oh, it's freaking tab. I forgot. Oh shit! Yeah, he has two faces. Dude, it is so dumb how to do this freaking. What? Ow! Why would I be? Why would I do that? So it's really funny because last stream on Friday I was fighting this guy as well, and one of my co-recruits was watching me, and I killed him. Right? Well, I thought I killed him, and I was like celebrating and stuff, and I was like, "Yep, just kidding." He has two faces. I watched you play it before. Oh yeah, you haven't. Yeah, so this is, I believe, I guess I can check the fifth. Yeah, the fifth memory boss. And this guy's freaking tough, dude. Like, I can barely handle the first phase, right? And then the second phase, I believe, is the same amount of health. Did I add a death for that one? I'm not sure if I did. Also, I think I have to make this down more, because it's kind of interrupting with my health a little bit. Let me see if that's better. Oh, yeah, it's just a little better. Go. So he was all excited because he thought I killed him, and then found out that technically I did, but he just has to. I'm so glad for that. genre of games do I play? So recently it's kind of been like Dark Souls games, I guess. But usually it's just pretty much any sort of game. I'm a huge fan of like survival and stuff. So also my fancy. Oh, what the heck? What I like about this game versus Elden Ring is that there's no stamina in this. It's just like a stagger. It's just a stagger bar, or not a stagger. Posture. So I don't know. It's kind of nice, to be honest. All I know is that this fucking guy is hard. He has fucking 2 phases. Get some stuff back. Oh, I should get my hair. That got me? Whoa. Dude, that was doing so good. You see how many potions I had left? I had like 5. Dude, that's freaking fantastic. So yeah, recently it's been like I guess Dark Souls games because I played Dark Souls 3, I played Elden Ring, and now I'm playing Sekiro. But after this game, I need to finish Bone Labs, which is a VR game, and I need to finish all the Assassin's Creeds. I still got like 6 to play. I don't know why I keep going that way. Dude, that run was so freaking good. I'm freaking pissed. Hey, what's up, Eli? That dude, I just had such a good freaking run. Flooding me. I swear to God, sir. Are you gonna throw your freaking crap at me? Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Okay, what the fuck is happening? He's gonna throw a sheet. You feel it coming. Yup. I felt it coming. Yeah! Come on. Yeah! Oh, this is a good run. Yeah! Freaking ass right now, dude. Oh, I'm about to get that cycle or something. Oh, no. Go. Come on. Yeah. Oh, he's dead. Oh, he's freaking dead. Oh, I got 6 potions. Woo! Ah! Beach. Dude, I got 6 potions left. Here we go. I'm playing Assassin's Creed Odyssey and Forza Horizon 5. Ooh. How's the Odyssey? I heard it's pretty freaking good. Alright, dude, this has to be the run. This has to be the run. Ha. I'm not a big fan of this one. His attacks are just so freaking huge, dude. I can't dodge them. Oh, I staggered him. No. Oh, I fucked up the stagger. Oh, dude, I had... Okay, I need to get behind him, dude. That's the strategy. Come on, you guys should get a freaking stagger already. Come on. Come on, man. Give me the freaking stagger, you pump. Did you always do that, sir? Sir, Yes! Oh, that was good hits. That was good hits. Oh, yeah. Why you gotta do full 360, bro? Why? Is that really necessary? Again? Oh, shit. Can you attack them? Again? I'm never gonna do it ever again this whole stream. Dude, if I would have got that other revive, man, oh my god, that was crazy. It's pretty cool. A lot of stuff to collect. Ooh, really? Okay. I like collecting stuff in Assassin's Creed. I don't like going 100%, like go absolutely crazy with the collecting. But I like to get a good amount of stuff. Like, I wasn't a big fan of, what was it? Assassin's Creed, was it Rogue? The powered one? I wasn't a big fan of getting all, like, the shanties or whatever they're called. With the musical note things for the ship. I didn't get all those, but I got pretty much everything else, I think. I looked it up, it was about 3,000 places to go. Wait, seriously? That's freaking crazy. I don't know. Dude, that was such a good run. I'm so upset. Also, I realized that he doesn't get full staggered in the other phase. Jumped in the sheets. Come on, my god, I should have. Oh! Get the fuck. This fucking boss is freaking crazy. Oh yeah, I gotta wait 60 seconds. Dude, if I would've survived a tiny bit longer in that fight. Oh, you know what I should've done? I should've fell back until I had a revive. This guy's crazy. I like fighting him when he's next to why do I keep going that way? When he's next to a wall. But the only problem is I can't see crap. So maybe I should like only fight him in the middle. So that way I can actually see what the fuck is happening. I like that move a lot. Oh. Oh, I thought that was a different move. I don't know why I thought it was. I ain't dead yet, beach. Ah! Get your freaking ass back in that wall, beach. Give me them free hits. I should be getting this. Oh god! I should be getting the stagger soon. There it is. Oh yeah. Oh, and I got a little cheeky hit now too. Why did it unlock me? Ooh! Wait, I dodged that? Come on, give me a second. Oh, I thought that was two times in a row? Are you gonna go for 3? Okay, well I just wasted like 4 potions. Nah, I love that. Dude, I was at like 5. Oh, he's back? I have to eat something. Alright, man. We'll hope you have a good little food eating session. I still feel like the game is too freaking loud, but you guys said it sounds good. Yeah, I have 1 potion left. There's no freaking shot. No shot, thanks, my guy. Maybe I can somehow turn into a god in this. Wait, that's a triple combo? That's the whole sheet. God, I have no freaking stagger or posture. Can I dodge that? What I need to do is I need to wait until I see that I have a revive available, and then only attack when I know I have that. I don't like how he doesn't get the full freaking stagger. Oh! Oh, that's pretty good. Okay, so now what I should do is I have to wait 60 seconds to be able to do that again. So, what I'm thinking is, what if I just run around the whole field, right? And hope and pray that I survive. Or I can just do this. Oh, I found a glitch in the system. Okay, this is my new strategy on how to get this guy. This is a strat. Oh man, this is a strat. Sorry about the screen moving so much. This is for a good cause though. As soon as I fucking go down there, I'm gonna die again. I'm gonna call on it. Has it been a minute yet? I feel like it should be done by now. I feel like it should be done by now. Why is it not working? Hello? Can it say every minute? What is... Wait, is it based off of... Ah! Wait, is it based off of every minute? Or is it based off of freaking how many times I... Oh god. How many times I hit him? Okay, one person. It's definitely been more than a minute. Maybe it's because I'm doing it. Maybe the game is something doing that. What if I just run around? I think I had to hit him when he fell in the door. I thought that was every minute. I guess not. Okay. Where's the... What's it called? Isn't it like a help menu? Where's the health menu? Or help menu? Not health. Okay, I guess I don't have one. Okay. Alright. Fuck is my legs itching so much? Hold on, I'm gonna look this up real quick. Cause I thought it was every 60 seconds. How often can you resurrect in Sekiro? Okay, so resurrection is referred to as, okay, Bob dies and resurrect immediately after dying, allowing the skill to return. If a player uses the first ability to resurrect, the second node will be locked to prevent players from overusing. To unlock this, players need to defeat more enemies until it's available for use. I have to defeat enemies? Well, that's impossible. I only got one motherfucking enemy. Okay, so I'm freaking screwed. Alright. So I can only do it once then. Well, then again, I mean, if I kill his first phase, I'll have it again, because I mean, he's considered his enemy, but... So I gotta go through the whole second phase? Just not dying? What kind of crap is that? Kind of sucks you don't get that same freaking stagger freaking second phase. No, this is what you call straight up freaking bullying. God. God damn, homie! See, this is why I don't like being in the corner. Frickin' What? I got hit by that? Dude, this guy's crazy. Did that add a death? Okay, it did. This guy's fucking cracked. Oh, I freaking went the wrong way again. I should start doing. I should start just waiting for this guy and just react to his activations rather than just. I have no idea what's happening. Okay. I'm already dead. Alright. I don't know if my idea is it's working out in my favor here. That was a nice little combo. Okay, game, I'd really appreciate it if you wasn't shooting like that. It's not very nice. Oh, I don't have any revives. See. That's what I get for being cocky. Oh, you know what? I wouldn't even consider that cocky. I just fucking suck, apparently. Alright. Fuck, hold up. Oh, I forgot to post my homies on live. Oops. I forgot. Alright, something like that. Sorry about that. The phone needs to continuously charge. Alright. Alright, I'm not playing around anymore. My strategy didn't work out too well. My face is so much this movie. Oh, I pressed the button. Oh, what's happening? What the fuck is happening? What the fuck? This is what I'm talking about when I'm fighting the freaking corner. Things like that happen. What the fuck? Get me out of here. Alright. Jesus. I might as well just freaking reset. There's no way I'm doing this. Oh, I fucking love that. I wanted to heal. Guess not. Alright. There is no way I was doing that run. I got slapped in the corner for like 5 minutes. He's like 6 potions. There's no freaking shots. Holy flop, smackle pop. Alright. We're live for 40 minutes already. Alright, we had one good run in that 40 minutes. I count that as a freaking W. Oh yeah, I'm in the middle. I'm already dead. Alright. Great start. That was crap. Oh, I don't want to get that. I want to get him. Crap. All with that? Well, I don't want. Oh my god. I don't want the freaking tree, alright? I want him. I am dead. No, I'm not. Not dead yet. Oh! Wow, I walked right into that. Or flew. Once he gets you in a combo and you're trying to pop a heal off to not get one tap, it's just not good. Ow. I actually got the aid. That's surprising. What am I at? Like 10%? Freaking 12%? Huh. Good start. Beautiful start. No. Dude, I don't want the frickin' branch. I want his face. Thank you. Okay, well, if I'm not going for like a fast kill. What are you from, my guy? Chopping on the street. It's Minecraft. Oh. Do I have a scissor help him? No, I don't. Right. I don't like the predicament right now. Let's get a little reset up in here. I've had this guy for so long. He's only out. He's not even out. I like the attacks I can't dodge, but at the same time I don't like them. I'm really not good at dodging them apparently. You use the item? Like you, what, 2 times in a row? Aw, I'm not. Ah, I'm dead. God, I'm dead. She. I kind of walked into that one. I rolled. What the frick want to call it? It seems like if I just go in, dude, and just not give a frick, and just constantly swing at him, I get like good confidence. And then when I like stay back and try and strategize, I get fucking slapped in the mouth. Oh! I didn't get as much help as I wanted from right there, but... You punk. Oh, well, that's the ow. Not dead. Little stagger coming in soon. Oh yeah. Ow, yeah. Alright, let's get a heal. Reset my sheet. Alright. I did dodge that? Oh, that was some really good hits. I like this. I've already used 3 potions, 4 potions already. Oh no. I just wasted my whole freaking stack because I'm massive bullshit. I got 2 potions left. I got 3 revives, which I can't even use. I don't think. I don't think this is happening. Should I heal? Yeah, I'm gonna get 1 tapped. Okay, well now I only got 1 potion. This is not happening. I think I do seem so. I like that attack. Maybe I should just wait until he does the attack I want him to do. I am already out. That's not good. Oh, that hit me? Alright, no, that's cool. Okay, there's no way I'm getting any more revives, so this is the last shot. Oh, you punk. I didn't want that third hit. I just wanted two. But I guess I clicked too many times. Okay, I think I have a strategy here. It's just it's kind of like just baiting out attacks. I think. I think that's the strategy. I have fucking no idea. The real strategy is just not losing fucking potions in this fight. This phase. That. I'm not having my fucking stupid camera reset. Fucking temp. Right there. Should have definitely got hurt. No doubt about it. Come on, look how it's close. Did I miss a part? Oh, that was dumb. That was so dumb. Ah, that was crappy. Ha. Ah, I agree on that one. It's the only one I agree on. Aw, that was so rangey. Oh, okay, well, there goes my break. Well, now we're back to square one where we have freaking 2 potions left. And I missed a really good attack. Okay, we got 2 potions with about more than 3/4 health. Sadly, no freaking revives this time, which is pretty much me. Fucking screwed. There's no chance I'm doing this. But, like so. Let me get lucky. That was good. No shot. Fucking good. Oh, it's a 4? Okay. Good to know, good to know, good to know. Remember, Nick, you're not getting any revives. so focused right now. I'm freaking dead. Oh, crap, man. That was good though. I'm learning some stuff. I'm learning. It may seem like I'm just. Excuse me. I suck, but I'm freaking learning. Gee. I'm learning. The instinct is just to try and be on him at all times, but with how much this man puts my bar up. Oh, I actually got him. Wait, I was shooting. What? Wait, I lost that? I thought me jumping over him was just... Oh. Alright. I didn't want that. Maybe, how about, maybe, no more potions? Oh, I'm dead. No! My life? No! Shit, that was good. I had like 4 left. Damn. Hey, welcome back, Sludge. We almost had a good run. It was like it was getting there. It's not looking good, man. I'm getting a little better at understanding him, but I'm still like getting hit a lot. Ooh, like that little prediction right there. But currently my character is not looking. Huh? Ooh, that was a sick ass dodge. Oh my god, that was freaking marvelous. That was beautiful. If I cannot use any potions, go down. how was your food, Switch? Yep. I got hit by that? Get the frick up! Oh, I just missed so much damage right there. Died right before he frickin' starts his other phase, dude. That frickin' sucks. That frickin' sucks, bro. I still have 2 potions, and I'm about to use them all for frickin' so this is already frickin' shit, man. I could probably definitely use another one. Do I have any pelts? I do not. Yeah, dude. Fuck, I'm screwed. If I can do this whole phase hitless, then we can kill him. If not, ha. There's so many attacks. Did I get hit by that? Oh, I thought that was a scream. I thought that was a scream. That's a scream. I would like to have my shield out. Thank you very much. Yes. Oh, I didn't see how much health he had left. I think I got him down to like 3/4. Shit. Hope you had a good hope you had some good food, Mr. Sludge, sir. Animation, man, every freaking time. Not really good. How the fuck did I get hit by that? Die again already? I'm feeling the stagger soon. Never mind. Not feeling the stagger. Gosh, you're ugly. I mean, you're very beautiful, sir. Okay, I thought I just died and I was gonna start crying. You can't ma- Oh. Oh. Oh, sick. Hey, what's up, Slusher? Oh shit, he had 11. Dude, fuck this stupid ass monkey. I think this boss took me a long time. You fuck this stupid fucking dumb fuck this boss. I'm not gonna lie though, I've gotten a couple people. I've been trolling a couple people with the deaths, but let the hate throw. Fuck this stupid ass fucking monkey, dude. I feel like I have a good strategy, but it freaking does not work in my favor. Kind of like that. Come on, give me that second, boy. No, not again. What, that hit me? I'm not really digging me. Ah! 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 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9! Alright. That's good, that's good. Okay, watch this. Ah! Hit him. I don't know where my character's going. Okay, nice part. Okay. Oh, I thought that was the other move. Oh, I'm dead? Oh. Yeah, it's real freaking nice, my guy. Oh, that worked out really well, actually. Oh, that worked out really well. Ah! Whoa, that hit! That hit me? I didn't dodge that? Oh, okay. He's the animal. What tool would help you? See, I know I can use the firecracker, but I feel like it's too easy. Like, I'm not trying to be cocky or anything, but I don't know. Maybe we'll keep like that'll be like the last resort, because I mean I know I'm sure I can probably come with that. But this is pretty freaking challenging as it is right now. Just like, so far. Like this is a pretty fucking good run. Hey, how's it going, Sasha? What's home? See, if I'm not going for a stagger, I shouldn't worry. Ow! I deserve that. I didn't mean to call you a douche, sorry. Shock. That would have hit me, I would have freaking started to cry. Just need some dinner. Ooh, what you got? What you got? Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Watch this. Oh, you see that? Ah, you see that prediction? Fucking hacker. I'm going for 4 hits. Then I'm gonna run away. Look at that shit. I got. Look at that. Okay, I'm not getting cocky. Know about that shit. 1, 2, right? Ah. What? Dodge that way? 1, 2. Yeah. Okay. Oh, that's cool. Dodge that like a boss. Okay, go back and heal. Go back and heal. Boom. Regain some stuff back. Boom. Easy refresh. Okay. Just watch this. Wait. Go for that attack. I'm gonna go 1, 2, stagger, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, I only got 5. It's cool. I kind of missed the opportunity to kill him right there. Why you gotta hit me with 1 combo? Okay, we got 4 potions. 4 potions and 1 revive. This is a good start. Should I heal? Frick. Alright, no, this is a good start. This is a good start. My stream in like half an hour. Ooh, hell yeah. 7-hour stream or 7 o'clock stream. I'm doing alright, man. Today was a pretty action-packed day at work, so that's good though. One, two. God, I thought that was a 5 combo. Alright, let's just keep running around. Make him more dizzy, right? That's a strategy, huh? Ah, he missed. Ah! Oh, okay, never mind. I'm gonna go for that. Okay. Wait for it again? Yeah. I don't know why you fucking walk like that. I mean, I guess you don't have a head. I guess it's kind of expected. Oh! Oh! Okay, at least I read that one. I didn't get one single hit right there. No, I love this game. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Boom, boom, boom. Oh yeah. 1, 2, 3. Oh yeah. He's at so much health. I just used 2 potions. No, I didn't. Thank God. All I gotta do is just freaking make the attacks out. Oh, I thought it was a 5. You messed up my whole floor. I thought that was a 5. I freaking hate this guy. I'm getting a little cocky. Oh god. Oh, I'm getting a little cocky. Okay, it's fine. We're good. We're good. I don't know why I wasted that. Huge waste. Sorry. No. Dude, where the fuck is my stagger at, bro? I've hit you so many freaking times. Did you pick yourself when you get back up? Bro, I was just confused. Ooh, note to self. Gotcha. Go for an attack. Bop, bop. Oh, yeah. Ah. Oh, I didn't dodge that? Yeah, I still gotta revive. Jump. Okay. That's long. Okay, I still gotta revive. We're good. I still gotta revive. Go for attack. Okay, never mind. Okay, it's good. It's good. Fuck, I hate this guy. I don't feel confident attacking that. Just freaking dumb attacks. Totally deflected that, by the way. I don't like this because I don't know how to dodge it. Oh, I thought that was the scream. What? Okay. It turns out it wasn't the scream. Okay. I should 110% got a stagger right there. Like that. That was freaking beautiful. This is the run, my guy. Okay, I'm playing safe this whole rest of this frick going for sheep. Unless he screams. 1, 2. I thought that was a 4. Okay, I'm getting real nervous. I'm playing the punk game here. I'm gonna go see. 1, 2, 3, 4. I thought that was a 5. No, frick, you're running beach. was that? Oh. I feel like I've never seen that attack in the fucking manga. If I can get a stagger here, I won. If I get a stagger here, I won. I didn't get a stagger right there. I win. I won. Please don't tell me it was 3. Please don't tell me it's 3. Please don't. Oh my holy shit. Let's go. Holy shit. 4,000? Oh my god. Dude, if I would have got a stagger and I messed up there, I probably would have cried. Wow. That was freaking stressful. That was freaking golden though. Holy frick. Alright. Perfect time to join the stream, by the way, Slasher. Thanks for joining, my guy. Oh. Alright. What'd I get? A stunning figure of young can be... Oh, what is this? Found in the belly of a guardian ape? Oh, okay. Called the finger whistle that can drive beasts wild. Ooh. The one who used it before clearly used it for his purpose, as it is by the fingers open. Ooh. Wait, did you fight 2 at the same time? I'm gonna play that. Hey, it's freaking Anthony. What's up, homie? Thanks for joining, my guy. Thanks for the freaking Wait, it's been a month already? Thanks for the freaking year and 1 month, my guy. You're a freaking legend. You just missed a freaking sick ass fight, bro. Sick ass fight. Welcome to the stream, my guy. Oh man, you missed it. Oh, I can't believe I killed that beach. Okay, wow. Let's go. Oh my god, I killed him. I watched it. Oh, you did? Oh, dude. I can't believe I did that, dude. It took me... Okay, so I've been streaming for 1 hour and 15. I fought him for... I want to say probably like an hour last stream. So like, what, 2-ish hours? Probably a little more than that. Oh, dude, I can't believe I did that. Okay, what is it again? This one? Yeah, this. Shit. Thank you, sir. Oh, shit, man. How many days did it take you to do that? Honestly, dude, only a day and a half. Well, technically not. I mean, it took me 2 hours. So. A combination of like 1 hour this stream and then 1 hour last stream. That's how long it took me. Nobody told me about the firecrackers. Oh, really? Yeah, I knew about it, but I don't know. I've tried to low-key refrain from using them unless I like really like I'm stuck on a freaking boss that involves using them, because I know it's still challenging, but I feel like it's just might be too easy in a way. But then again, I probably wouldn't. I'd probably still die, but I feel like my strategy of running around worked out pretty well. Do you play the new Modern Warfare 2? I have not. Okay, let me rephrase that. No, let me rephrase that. I didn't mean like cocky, like I'm a freaking god at this game. I freaking suck. Alright. I meant like, you know what I meant. Alright. What was that? What did I want to get? Recovers posture upon executing a successful death blow. Okay. Is the yellow one is the one that's... The latent skill is the passive one, right? Is there any one latent ones aside from this one? It's not. Okay. So I'm thinking of going for this one. Recover exposure upon executing us, because this can be useful for fighting like a big jump of enemies. Or I could go with this one because this is nice. Is this just any deflection? Isn't a deflection just a regular deflection? That's freaking OP. I should get this.
Oh shit. Here we go again.
How's it going, Anthony? What's up, homie? How's work doing? How's life? How's wife and kids? Alright, what do you guys think? Do you guys think I should get the Breath of Nature Light, or should I get the Descending Carp? I know it's my gameplay, but I want to see what you guys think. Do we go for recover posure upon executing a successful death blow, which is like a finisher? Or do we do for a few seconds after deflection increase damage to enemy? What do you guys think? What do you guys think? Take the nut off and play Mario Morph 2. Ooh, shit, okay. Yeah, my homie from work was playing it, but he ended up quitting because he just the servers were freaking garbage. Crashing every freaking 2 seconds. I actually took the last 3 nights off, but it's okay. Oh shit. Do you get Thanksgiving off? It is very good. Hasn't crashed yet. Oh really? Huh. Maybe they changed it. Okay, I'm gonna go with this one, dude. But then again, do I have anything to put on one? Okay, what's this? Okay, that's literally what I'm looking at, you fucking Dumbo. Okay. Let's get this and hope and pray that we don't die. Because I do want to get that top one. Yeah, run it. Okay. Let's go back. Okay, where are we right now? Okay, let's go back to here. We need to go and get this thing on. And probably, I would say, replace it with the firecracker. Possibly. What is that sound behind me? Oh, I should.
What is it?
Okay, you know what? Okay, let me. I should probably use this after a boss. I feel like I need to do this, or I should say, memory boss. If I don't respawn in my match, alrighty. Alright, now we're back up to what, 30%? Oh yeah. Okay, actually, let me. You're the merchant, right? My own little personal merchant.
There, friend. Still have some.
How much money do I have? Did I get a lot of money from that? I didn't get a single lick of freaking coins from that. That's some freaking bullshit. I need to buy this. I need to buy all these. Wait, remember detailing whereabouts of a Kodochi short sword?
Until next.
Huh. Oh, dude, I can't believe I killed that beach, man. Holy fuck.
What's that you have there? Where did you get that finger?
The guardian ape of the sunken valley. I found it in his belly.
I see. To think it was in the belly of an ape. Let me see it. I'll fix it to your prosthetic arm.
Hell yeah. You know what? Ooh. Does he like monkey boost? No. Maybe he doesn't like it. Oh, what is this? Large fan. When did I get that? Gallows and releases a gust of wind, forcing enemies caught by. Oh yeah. Where did I get this from? Attract enemy attention. Oh, attract enemy attention by blowing the finger whistle. Enrages beasts, making them unable to only can be only the targeted enemy can hear the finger whistle when locked on. If no target is locked, all surrounding enemies will hear the sound. Okay, so wouldn't I just want to have that active? Okay. Okay, I don't know what this. Okay, actually, I don't know what that. What's this one? I'm not a huge fan of the flame barrel. Like these three right here, the main ones you get, the axe, the shurikens, and the flame barrel. I'm not too big of a fan of them. Like, I mean, I know the axe is good for guys with shields and stuff, but I don't know. I never really What the fuck is this? The purple fume spark. The addition of fatty wax clumps delays the explosion slightly. Enemies blinded by the light take visibly more. Oh, that's kind of cool. What is this? Oh, this is the finger stuff. Okay. Oh, what's this? Once we're putting a pressure against it to hold it out well. The blessings of the phoenix fill the umbrella, preventing damage from a person temperament. What the fuck does that mean? Google. I feel like I know what that word means, but I have to refresh my brain. Does that mean the heavy attacks? Oh, wait, what's that? Ooh. Okay, I think it's just okay. Dude, that fucking umbrella is OP. What is this? A large and withered golden fan cost. Okay, gathers blah blah golden. This is it. Oh, that's just the. Okay, that's the what's it called? The. Hold it up. Okay, when spread up and protect against attacks. Blah blah. Hold it. The blessing of the vermin bird prevents damage from fire-based attacks and also prevents buildup of burn status. Ooh. Excuse me. That's kind of cool. I'm gonna get this first. That I'm probably never gonna use. What item is that? Pine resin ember? Frick to get that at? Okay, so maybe we should try the wind one, and then
Idols are all I can carve.
we'll try the other one.
Buddhas the wood
See how they work.
shows me have faces of wrath, and I can only carve what I see. Another time, then. I'll lend you shall.
Yeah, thanks. Huh. Okay. Cows releases a gust of wind. So this will probably be good for like big enemies. Or not big enemies, sorry. A big jumble of enemies. We can try that on. I think Nick, where's the closest frickin' ooh. Yeah, here. Thank you. Taking damage to partial damage to fill the mind and body to a tear. Oh, so that has to. Okay, so it is what I think it was. Okay. Okay, I need to try this on a bunch of enemies. Isn't there like a there's a packet to right here. Do you guys mind if I try something real quick? Thanks, my guys. Appreciate it. Wait. Wait, well, okay. Prefer not to die. Okay, my stream is freezing. That's fantastic. Okay. That's not very good. What is this again? Gathers and releases a gust of wind force enemies caught. What do you gotta do? Tab. Use the fan release to wrap yourself in whirling winds. While using gathering, press tab, divine abduction, release the winds around the enemies, making them suddenly. Oh, okay. So if I just can you stop? So if I press it and then go into someone. Ah, okay. I'm not gonna lie, I'm not quite sure if I like that. Let me try that one without dying. Okay, I'm not quite sure if I like that. Okay, where's the closest, where do I know of there being a bear? I don't freaking know. Or not a bear, but just an animal. I guess I can try this freaking chicken or crow. Rooster, whatever the frick you wanna call it. Probably. Okay. I think I might need to have, Spirit Ambulance Jeep. Jesus. Alright, where's the, what's it called thing? Right here? Okay, that works. Alright, let me try on this beach. Damn. Okay, well, it might help if I was near enemies. Okay, how long does that last for? That lasts for ow! That lasts for a freaking long ass time. Dude, it's still active? That lasts for a long ass time. I freaking love discovery. So if I okay, let me test one more thing. So it said if I don't target an enemy, it gets everybody around it. Alright. So I mean that's pretty cool. I guess we can keep that on there, right? Frick it. I'm probably gonna forget to use it. So we got stuff for animals. We got stuff for guys with shields. I should probably get an upgrade for this. At least like something. Well, I should probably go check. And then we have stuff for like cannons and guns and sheet. I feel like that's a pretty solid, like, okay, let's go see the upgrades for this axe, because I probably should upgrade it, because even though I don't use it, you know, when I do use it, it would be kind of nice to have, like, you know, gritty on it. So let's see what we can, get.
Unique.
Pretty sure I can get it. Oh, I don't even have this? Oh wait, yeah, I do. Oh, I can't even get this one because oh, it's just because I need level 400. Oh. Okay, so what is this? A weight allows one to shrug off incoming attacks, and you can easily turn wooden shields into splinters, storing the unleashing enemies. Okay, wow. So what exactly is different about it? Destroys wooden shields. Roll the axe in circles to strike enemies. Pressing tab during will cause one to roll again. Continues an attack. Not sure if I'm ever gonna use that. Eventually, I had to get it anyways because I got the what's it called, but. All right. Now we got all the upgrades we want to get. I think, hopefully. What the frick am I doing? Probably going through here. Yes. Okay. This is a continuation of the freaking story, right? Oh, shit, this is the thingamabob. Wait. Environment attracts female apes, thus the guardian ape carefully tended to it. Goes to offer it as a bribe. One of the ingredients. Okay, this is one of the things for the for the dude. So can I give it to that one dude? That one what's it called? What's his name? That one troll that was in that tree. He's the one that made me remember the stupid flower. Okay, I don't know if me talking to these people is gonna like mess up any type of like quests or anything. I hope it doesn't, but I'm assuming that's what I'm supposed to do.
I'm glad you've come, Master Wolf.
Do I have any? No. Okay.
Master Wolf, it looks as if your brow is less furrowed than before. Please, see that Lord Kuro's wish to sever immortal.
So,
Goodbye.
Okay. Forget I'm gonna just freaking talk to you real quick.
My lord, I've procured the flower for the fountainhead aroma.
Oh? Was it truly blooming in the sunken valley?
Yes, deep within the valley.
So that is where the fountainhead waters pool deeply. You've done well to acquire this wolf. Oh, and actually, I found something. I discovered there's another scent we must acquire.
What is it?
Okay.
The blood of the divine heir of the dragon's heritage. In other words, my blood.
Your blood, but my lord, you cannot bleed.
Yes, it is true that those of the dragon's heritage cannot bleed. However, in Lord Genichiro's
What?
quarters, I found a curious journal.
Hey, thanks for the like sludge. I'm gonna add in a command for that because I've noticed a couple people use it.
I'd like to ask you to keep this for me.
Okay. An old diary written by Lord Sekiro. Held his arm around the incense burner and attempted to cut it with a sword, but incredibly, his wound healed instantly and not a drop of blood was shed. And Timmy said, "Without it, your blood cannot be spilled." What could she be referring to? I wonder. The frick if I know. I'm not no frickin'
Now then,
detective.
we just need to figure out how to make me bleed.
Perhaps we should ask Lady Emma.
As a doctor, she should have much knowledge of the human body. Yes, she may be able to help us.
Frickin' bet. I mean, exhausted Alex.
To think my blood is an ingredient of the aroma. Perhaps Lady Emma will know of a way to make me bleed. Might you ask her?
I frickin' got you. I think I already talked about all this.
You're leaving, Wolf.
My lord.
Alright. So how the fuck do I make her
There is
bleed?
something I'd like to ask.
Yes, what is it?
Can the divine heir be made to bleed?
Why would you seek to do so?
The blood of the divine heir is required to obtain the dragon tears from the divine realm and achieve immortal severance.
Oh, I see.
Oh.
It is true that the divine heir's blood cannot be shed by normal means. However, you currently possess the means to do so.
The mortal blade.
Yes.
Oh, I have to
Here you are.
cut her with the frickin' blade? Part of the book of immortal sins is left behind. With mortal blade in hand, my blood may be shed. With my blood, the aroma will be complete. The divine realm will be in reach. Immortal servants will be at this hand. I must ask Tomato to assist with the bleeding and heading.
This was written by Lord Takeru?
It was. With the mortal blade, you may wound the divine heir, and his blood will be allowed to flow.
I see. This brings us one step closer to immortal severance. I shall tell my lord.
Of course.
Of course.
As I told you before, the mortal blade...
Yes, I shall
Of course.
Just gotta make sure.
Master Wolf, it look your
Okay, just gotta make sure.
Goodbye.
Alright, really hope I'm not messing up any frickin' quest line. I don't think I am.
Wolf, did you speak with Lady Emma?
I did.
And? What did she say?
That it could be possible with the mortal blade.
I see. So the mortal blade will allow my blood to flow.
As you wish.
Oh god, we're gonna do this right now?
The mortal blade was never meant to be drawn. There is no knowing how it will affect you. Burning the incense may help protect you from such harm.
Yes.
Sure.
If you insist, then that is what we shall do.
What if I don't want to do that?
I see you've gathered some of the ingredients needed to create the aroma of the fountainhead. Keep up the good work, Wolf.
Okay. I'm not gonna lie.
Wait, Wolf.
I kind of already forgot what the frick you said. I'm not gonna lie with you. Can I get a little recap?
I'm glad you've come, Master Wolf. Master Wolf, at your plea.
Hey, what's up, Panda? Welcome to the stream, my dude. How far you in now? I just killed the guardian ape. I got slapped a lot of times. Somehow I killed this guy though. And now what is it? I presented the flower to what's his name? Chemo? I forgot his name already. And now I have to get the frickin' blood of the divine heir, aka him, and use the what's it called? Usually hard, dude. He's fucking tough, man. I only spent like a couple hours on him, but I still feel like he was freaking incredibly freaking hard. Just fair warning. I'm not very good when it comes to understanding half of the shit that's going on here. So if that frustrates you, I apologize, but I suck. So I'm just putting it out there. The story in this game and like understanding where to go next kind of confuses the shit out of me. But we're getting there, kind of. Also, I needed to rewatch what she said because I already kind of forgot what she was talking about. First playthrough, I guess. Yeah. I just finished Elden Ring, so all the moves of Elden Ring is still kind of in my mind, which, you know, this game doesn't fully rely on dodging a lot, so it does, but it's more based off parry, which I'm not really used to doing. So I'm getting there. We're about 19 hours in the game, which is not bad, but I freaking suck. So yeah. Bad news. I can't go back on my stream because it won't let me because I'm live. So we have a little bit of a problem here because I forgot what he said. So that's kind of a problem. Let's see if he says anything else.
I see you've gathered.
Okay, just freaking say the same thing. I know I gotta get these eventually, but what did he say about the freaking?
A sacred village, all beneath Ashina, beyond the bottom of the
With
well.
the frickin'
you
blood.
awoke in. Near the Moonview Tower, there is a bottomless hole. Perhaps through that hole, you'll find whatever is beneath Ashina. But what did the text mean by throw oneself?
I do not know.
See if you can.
My lord.
Okay, wait. What'd you
A
say?
fragrant stone. Beyond there is a bottom, perhaps.
Okay, whoa.
I do not
See,
my
a fragrant stone. A sacred village.
I feel like I
all
remember
beneath
this hole.
Ashina. Beyond the bottom of the well, you awoke in. Near the Moonview Tower.
Behind the bottom of the well you awoke in. Where the frick is that at? Oh no, that's in the frickin' palace. Thank you. This is the well I woke from, right? Frick if I know. You have to go to the abandoned dungeons? What the frick is that at? Well, this is not considered a well. Wait, where did I come from? I remember seeing a freaking big ass hole too. Let me just like double check that. Oh. Wait, where was this at? You said the abandoned dungeon, right? Did I ever come down here? Oh, no, I completed that already. Wait, what was up here? Wait, what is this place? Oh, yeah, it's this place. Oh, okay. Wow, okay. It's not when you have the range like that. Alright, let's just take a little hard reset here, my guy. Calm down, alright? Okay, I think I've been to both of these. I've already been down there. Did I forget to grab something? Also, you said to the left of the Shinamige. Isn't this the isn't that the abandoned dungeon though? Isn't this the right spot? No, because he said there's a freaking hole. Okay, also, when you say main gate, what the frick are you talking about here? Talking about the freaking castle gate, or are you talking about the freaking that little small one right next to the freaking what's it called? I'm not very good with directions if you couldn't figure it out already. Usually I have someone here that watches me that's watching me play this game, but he's not here today. So I'm kind of just stuck here. Wait, open on map, what is that? That's kind of cool. Oh, I can do that. Oh, it's literally abandoned dungeons right freaking here. it's literally right here. It's the backside of the big pond. Behind where you fight Inshiro. Ooh. Okay, so a little bit of a problem here. I don't quite remember where I fought that motherfucker at. It's in the castle, right? Wasn't it like... Oh, it was right here, wasn't it? Wait, no, it wasn't there. Wait, but you did say they abandoned dungeon, right? Because I already have a thing for that. And I've only gotten one, what's it called? Nah, I don't think I, wait, who did I fight here? Only person I fought here was the ape, right? Yeah, the ape and then that cannon dude. Wait, what's this? Isn't this it? I only got one waypoint here. Did I not finish exploring? Okay, this has to do with, oh, you know what? I got the teleport and then I never came back. I think I got the teleport and then I ran back. I don't think I ever actually explored this way, did I? God. Wait. Oh, wait, no, yeah, I did. Wait, did I? No, I was here. Oh, I didn't mean to use that. What did you guys do? How is he? So what is over here? Nothing? Yeah, I have been here because I already explored this whole shit. Did you get to the gun fort? I'd like to say yeah. Oh no, that's when you kill, that's, I don't want to go down. Thank you. That's where you I don't know why I'm staying there. I don't think I fought you before, have I? I don't think I've been over here. That's the wrong move. I dodged that though? Wha- That didn't stop that? Oh, I forgot to use my thing. Damn it. You would think with 19 hours I might be a little better at the combat in this game, but not really. I didn't want to do that, but alright. Why were you so challenging? Oh no, I've been over here before. This just leads up to the what's it called? Yeah, so that means this whole place is the frickin' pit thing it's talking about. I don't know why I'm coming back up here. Yeah, this just leads to the frickin' what's it called that I was just at. Yeah, okay. Alright, well that wasn't very useful. So wait, which way is the other way then? How did I get down there? I gotta turn my freaking fan off. Okay, so what's this way again? Cockroaches. Oh, I forgot you guys don't even die. Okay, this was the place where I thought I missed some sheet. Oh, and then I went here. No, this is where I fought a boss. Oh, I never killed this guy. Oh, I never killed this guy. Google says Ashina Depth. Well, I totally forgot about this guy. Maybe it's talking about this dude. Wait. Knowing my luck, I'm gonna probably forget, but let's just go back and check now before I forget.
My dear Shinobi, the details are in the document I gave you. Considering the nature of the information, I think you'd agree that the less
Oh,
we
you
know
gave me
about
a
each other,
quest.
the better.
Do I remember what your quest you gave me? No, I don't. So that's I'm not doing that, I guess. Okay, so what are you talking about? History of depth? Okay, so I don't have it unlocked. Okay, so what are you saying again? Okay, so you said it's in the back side of the big pond behind where you fight. Okay, so where was that at? Wasn't that was in the castle, right? That was right here, wasn't it? Oh, you're talking about the major guy? Yeah, I fought him a couple times when I first saw him. And then the homie that was watching me pretty much said don't do it because it's a freaking... Yeah, this is where I fought Genshiro, right? Hopefully I said that right. No, that way is to the place I was at, wasn't it? First way is from the Sunken Valley, and other is from the abandoned dungeon. Oh. Oh. Alright. Wait. How do you get there from the dungeon? Is it past the guy? Do I have to kill the guy first? Because that's the only guy that's in this dungeon, right? The 14, what happened? Did you get 3 kills and 14 deaths? Okay, so where's it at from the dungeon? I'm guessing I missed a spot or something. I feel like I did. This place is freaking annoying. Well, we could try from the Sunken Valley as well, but frick if I remember where the frick I've explored. I don't remember any places that I forgot. Maybe the Sunken Valley is easier because I already have like freaking 6 waypoints there. Or shrines. You have to jump down there, I guess? Huh. Alright. Was there a thing here? So it's literally just like a big ass hole I have to jump into? I mean, that is what he said. What the fuck are you here?
Gunfort. It was even more formidable than we'd heard. We were reckless to go in
I believe I have
unprepared.
been in the
It takes me back. I can hear the Senpo temple bell.
Damn, bro. Sorry, I'm not sure how bad the delay is. How bad? So we gotta just search around here for a frickin' big ass pit. Now, this where I'm at right now, this would be considered a pit, right? Because technically you have to jump down here, but the only entrance here is through this way. I mean, I could try and find him again, to be honest. I mean, I've gotten a decent amount of upgrades since the last time I fought him. What the frick did that guy over there do? Waterway? Over here? I'm trying to kill these dumbass fish. Where you at? Frick, yeah! Frick, I didn't even give me any skills, you frickin' punk. Sorry, it's hard to follow what you're saying. I'm not sure how long the delay is on my stream. I think I try and have the low latency, but I don't think it works that well. Let me see. Hold on. Let me see. I hate to look this up myself, but let me see what the frick is this talking about. Bottomless hole. The bottomless hole requires to totally different. You can rest from the reservoir, jump down the tree branch. Oh, this is in a complete opposite way that I'm talking about. Okay. Yeah, I would have never guessed that. I'm in a complete opposite way what I'm supposed to be. Oh, I know I'm not. Wait. Wait, what? Wait, what? So the waterway is a complete different thing. Yeah, this just gets me to the temple. Keep swimming to the end of the cave and you reach the elevator. Use the elevator to reach the temple. This puts us in the main path to the next main story area. Yeah, that's how I complete the story. And then the bottomless hole is something completely different. The bottomless hole requires us to backtrack and take a totally different path. You can ignore this until you have done with the you're done with the Senpu Temple region, which I'm pretty sure I am, right? What the frick was in the temple again? Oh yeah, this is where I fought. Yeah, this is where I found the snake. And this is where I killed the monkeys, right? Yeah, monkeys I fought here. And then snake I fought right here. So I'm pretty sure I'm done with this place. So then all we have to do is just go back to where the frick is this at? It's in here somewhere. I don't even have the frickin' thing for it. I have the frickin' waypoint for it. Where the frick is this at? Well, must be... Okay, I think I understand where I have to go. See, how would I know how to do all this? There's no shot people just freaking know this stuff right away. So one thing I kind of hate about freaking Dark Souls games, you know, where's this at? No, this is right after. Oh wait, you know what? Did I ever go straight? I don't think I did. No, yeah, I did. Oh yeah, because this is how I fought the one guy. What? So this is not even the right place then. Okay, let me go this way again, because I kind of forgot what was over here. Where's that one spot where I fought the one dudes? Crap. Okay, ow. You know, I'm not gonna fight you guys. Frick you guys. I got a mission. I'm on a mission. I don't have a mission. Okay, frick you, Mr. Troll. Unless I can kill it right now. Okay, I don't want to frick out. I don't even want to kill you anyways. Frick you, beach. That leads to that. Okay. Okay. Alright. Oh god, it's not that way. That leads to that. Okay. Now I remember. Okay. Alright. Okay, what was up here? This is where I fought. What's his face? Now.
I'm sure you are all aware already. This coming battle will determine the fate of
I don't
all
even think
us.
this.
We go now.
Wait, this guy
to
wasn't even
risk
over
our
here.
lives for Lord Ishi and the peoples of Ashina. We are Ashina. We are unbreakable. Yeah!
Jump across the tree.
For Ashina!
Dude, there's no shot I'm having this much trouble right now to find this stupid ass area. Wait, is that technically this place? Okay, now I'm just freaking doubting myself. Is this the place it's talking about? This is not even the same idol that it's telling me to go. No, yeah, I'm looking for this one right here. The reservoir, so I don't even have that sheet. That doesn't show you where it's at. You have to click into it. I think. Maybe I don't understand how that works. Okay. So I need to figure out how to get to the reservoir because I've never been there before. Now, where the frick is that at? Because frick if I know. I thought I've already been here before, but apparently I have not. Why am I having so many troubles with this? Where the frick is this at? Wait, no, this is... I have been here before. Wait, what? Bro, I'm doubting the frick out of myself. I'm so confused. What? Yeah, this is at the starting area, exactly what you said. But where the frick is this? 'Cause, apparently I frickin' missed the shrine. Where's this sheep? What the fook? Imagine me playing this game without like 100% of help at all. Yeah. Yeah, let me see where this freaking guy went. Where the frick did he go? What the frick is that? Okay, so it is an area I have not been to. And I completely skipped it, or I missed it. But now I know how to get there. So I guess we'll go with that. It's really simple. I don't know how I missed that. It's right here. I don't know how I never seen this. I don't know if what you were saying is it corresponds to what I just found, but I'd like to apologize if it is, because apparently I don't frickin' know how to read or understand shit. Yeah, free stuff. Dude, how did I never find this place? So let me go down here. Let me get free stuff. And then we go to here and there's a freaking thing right there. How have I never been over here? Let's out of this. How the frick have I never been over here, dude? How did I miss this?
Heard reports of a shinobi being seen somewhere around
Sorry for the confusion, Panda. If you're still watching, my apologies.
Lately feels like an everyday occurrence. I know. Goes to show just how soon the battle will be upon us. Even more the reason to take these reports seriously.
Well, fuck your bows. You're gonna die in 2 seconds. Oh, shut up. Is this? Okay, yeah. So this is the starting area. How did I never get that, dude? Too many bosses ahead. Okay. Woohoo! I think you're talking about those guys. Fucking hate those guys, man. Ah! Ah! Nice. Well, I think I'm in a very, I didn't want you to turn around. Okay, I guess I'm fighting like this. I really don't like fighting you guys. I should have figured that wouldn't do shit. Oh, I should have realized that was a fucking big ass hit. Oh, are these guys a double? No, they're not. I should be able to get a freaking kill on this guy pretty easily. I don't freaking suck at this game. Unless that guy sees me, then I might get caught. Okay, here's the plan. We're gonna freaking run past this guy, or behind him, and freaking slaughter his face. I'm gonna head to bed, have a good relationship. Hey, thanks, Sledge. Appreciate it, man. You're a freaking legend, my guy. Oh crap! I didn't freaking get it. That's a lot. That's a lot of bullets. Okay. Okay, let's all just calm down for 1 second. I cannot fight you guys all at one time. We gotta take a motherfucking chill pill, my guy. That was sick. Okay. I can survive with more, you know, not so many freaking people that shoot some freaking bullets in my shit. Oh, that was sick. Oh, ow. Oh my god, I can't see. Whoa, okay. That's fun. To the glass left of there. Bush up there behind the wall. Behind the wall. It's a what? Oh. Oh, shit. Oops. Oh, crap. No, shut the fuck up. I'm assuming that's what. Oops. Oh, is this the? Oh, you tell me I got jumped down here. That's what you said. Okay, before we do that, let me get this out real quick. Oh, you're not saying that? Never mind. Okay, let me go kill this dumb beach up here real quick. Ooh, that guy is that's a very freaking big ass frick. Holy shit, that's big. Damn. Ah! No way. Oh my, no way that freaking hit me. Is that considered? Can I dodge that? I didn't know what that was. On that point, just turn right. Okay, wrong movement. Ow! Alright. Kind of figured I was gonna die to this guy. Okay, before we go over there, let's kill this guy real quick. Maybe not real quick. Maybe it'll take me forever. Oh frick! Now I gotta follow these frickin' punks again. God damn it! Also, we're gonna be ending this stream in about like 25 minutes, so be mindful of that. I guess I could have went over here and just skip those guys. We can just make a bunch of noise. I really don't want to fight you guys again, I'm not gonna lie. So, let's just skip all this sheet. Or not. Okay, or we can just, like, nah, or we can do that. Oh, we can do that too, that works. Oh, we can do it again. No, that's good. Okay, yeah. Okay, can I... Is there some shit up here? Yes, there is. Oh, what you got going on up in here? Now, what I could do for this guy is I can just reset his, what's it called? Yeah, I got him on the counter one time, but then he did like a same move that the other guy did. Kind of freaked me out. That's considered. That's not a thrust. Apparently that's not a thrust either. Okay. Oh, I pressed the button. No, frick, I'm going in here. What's in here? Oh, frick you, motherfucker. What you got hiding here, huh? How much of frickin' bullshit is what I see? I want to see that. I really want to kill you, sir. What's over here? Oh, this is the way of... I just think you're hidden. Oh, it's also the way of being here. Oh, yeah. You can just think you're hidden there. So I could just fucking come over here and just fucking stab him. Hey, how's it going? Thank you. here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna just reset that fight, right? Because I want to kill this guy. I want to see what that thing is. I guess you know what? I could just do it right now. What the frick am I talking about? There's no freaking way you saw me. You freaking kidding me? I want to see what this freaking vision is over. Did he reset? I'm pretty sure he's right here still. Yes, he is. But he's stuck. Which means... I can do that. Then I can run away. Then I can... Then I can run... Oh, never mind. So wait, what happens if I just continues to do that? What if I come right here, I reset your thingamabob, and then just come back? There's no chance I can just go back now and kill you, right? His bar will recover. I don't know when to find out. It recovered. You're right. It was worth a shot. Alright, I guess let's try and actually fight this guy now. Freaking run it. I'd really like to get you out of that place though. Oh yeah. This is pretty easy. I guess it's pretty easy when you just counter him. I was sick. Oops, I didn't even skip that. That was really clean. I guess it's pretty easy if you can counter him and not be trash of the game. Alright, let's see what this is.
You said to me once, do what must be done, but I have yet to discover what it is that I must do. I don't understand. Why was I granted this power?
Is this based off of like the stuff before? Like before she kind of realized that? Because I feel like she already knew all that shit. Also, I'm about to get level 2. Yeah, so if we freaking kill this guy, maybe kill the guys here, we can probably get it. And I can get that thing I wanted to get. Or I can just get it now, it works. Yeah, let me go get this freaking thingamabob first. You can't do that. Alright, gotta wait. Okay. I want to get this skill real quick. What? Oh, I was about to say you can't go up that. Well, actually, I could just go back. Because I know there's a thing right there. No, frick over here. I want to secure this skill point tree thing, whatever the frick you want to call it. Before I die and lose it all. Because it's about to happen. I really need these guys to frickin' get off my butt, though. There we go. Alright, now, let's get this. Oh, yeah. Okay, let's rest first. Then we're going to acquire skills. We're going to go right here, and we're getting this. Oh, yeah. Alright. Now we're going to do what you said. I suggest you unlock the healing thing that recovers your health when you death roll an enemy. Uh, that'd be hella funny if that was the one I got. It is not. I think I have that one though. Maybe I don't. Wait, where's that one at? Oh, is it up here? Oh, it's this one. Oh, I haven't even unlocked that tree yet. I should probably get that. You know what? You have. That's a good point. Let's get that. Let's get this one, and then I'm probably never gonna use these ones. This sounds sick though. So we'll get this one, then we'll get this one, and then this one, and then we'll probably get this one eventually. That's 5 points. Okay, it's gonna be a while before we get that. Wait, I got a thing about. What the frick? Oh, I thought I could attack those. Ow. Ow. Frick, now I forgot what I was freaking doing. Also, I just realized. Oh, yeah, I was getting the thingamabob. Yeah. Here's the mountain battalion. Hey, yeah. Oh, look at that freaking health, dude. Let's freaking go. There's a best farm on the mobile village. Hybrid village? Where the frick is that? You get like 640 points for killing one enemy there. Holy crap! Really? Where's that at? I don't know if I wanna play the whole like farm and get stuff. I know you can do that in Elden Ring, and I know you can do that in Dark Souls, but I never really into that stuff. I don't know. I mean, maybe eventually, but okay. So, what were you telling me before I wanted to kill the guy? You mentioned to go past the alarm guy. Sorry for not. I forgot to change my number. This is supposed to be stream 7. Crap. Oops. Behind the alarm guy, turn right, not down. Okay. $10 says I don't frickin'. I'm gonna alert everybody here. Can I go up here? Yes, I can. Okay, let me get this guy first. Ah! Okay, so what are you saying? Oh, that's what you're saying. Okay. I didn't even see this. I swear, I think I'm good at like understanding. This is the bottomless pit. This is never mind. Fuck you.
It truly stirs my soul. Beautiful, and yet somehow sad.
Thank you, sir. I didn't even notice this was here. I didn't look too hard. There's a mini boss down there. We can greet him.
Hey, who are you calling for? Let me hear it one more time.
Hey, you.
What? Oh, my name is Jinzaimon Kamano. My duty is to patrol the moat. I've not seen you around before. Which clan are you?
I cannot say.
You cannot say, you say? So you are a shinobi, then?
I cannot say.
Your manners could use some work.
Damn.
No matter.
I can feel the
You are a
sass.
shinobi. I won't press any further.
Huh. Thanks, my guy.
Shinobi, have you ever heard someone playing the shamisen around here? I followed
What the
the
fuck
sound
is that?
and it led me to
What the
this
fuck is
well.
that? Oh my god, I get to... Oh, crap. Wait, I don't even know what that is. Oh! That's the... Okay, if I tell him to go to the frickin' dungeon, he's gonna frickin' die. So let's not mention it. That's the dude with the... That's playing the music that's the boss, right? That frickin' slaps you. Okay, let's not mention it.
I have not.
Is that
I don't know if
so?
that was a good idea.
I thought since you're a shinobi, you might know. I wonder who that melody calls to. I don't know why, but I can't stop thinking about it. No, it's nothing. Please forget I ever spoke of it.
Okay. I've probably just saved this guy's life.
Have you heard? I followed the...
Oh, okay, so I can just choose. Okay. Should I be going? I kind of want to go up here first. What's up here? It's just this lead to the other crap. Okay, never mind. Simp. I wouldn't classify that as a simp. I'm just trying to be nice. Oh, I guess that is kind of a simp. Oh, this is the starting thing. This is the starting area. This is the place I spawned at. How the frick did I not get that? You know what? Never mind. Yeah, I should probably sit on the frickin' thing first. Because I don't have any revives and I'm gonna die. I'm gonna tell you straight up. Well, we know how to get over here. So yeah, let's just get a frickin' reset. Let's go reset. Let's not be dumb. Okay, now I'm gonna get all these guys' attention. Oh, never mind. I can go here. Oh yeah, baby. I'm gonna die to this guy. He's really annoying. Oh, that's fucking great. Alright, let's see what he has. Let's see what he got. God, if I had to die, I have to do this every time. Alright, we're gonna be ending in about like roughly 10 minutes. Let's see if we can end this stream on killing this guy. That man disappeared. Oh, I can talk to him?
He said I'd find a cowardly wolf here. No sign of him, though. A broken and incompetent shinobi living in disgrace. I hope to see such a man for myself, but seems I'm out of luck. And if he truly cannot die, I'm sure I'll run into him at some point.
I think that's me. I think that's me. I think if I go in front of you, you're gonna attack me. Should have definitely backstabbed this guy. Oh. Wow. Alright, that wasn't much of a fight. Damn. Wow. Okay. We're definitely grappling this guy. Wow. Okay. I just noticed I had coins on me. I probably should have banked that. Whoops. Crap. Crap. Okay, you know what? Let's play it safe and bank that. Yeah, that guy's freaking annoying. Let's try and get a backstab on him next. God, I have to go through all that just to freaking do it again. Wow, I just did a whole freaking 360.
Until now.
Secure some monies. Some monies. I can probably survive if I get a backstab on him for the. I don't even think it lets you get a backstab on him. You can backstab him from the hole above. Oh, you know what? Can't touch him. Okay, thank you, sir. Kind of hate how I have to freaking keep doing this every time, though. I can probably. Man, what the frick is that for? Where's this supposed to be going? What? So I can just jump over it? Take a while. I guess you're probably talking about this, huh? Yes, right, okay. There's no way I can't handle it. That's just freaking crazy. God damn, homie. How did I do so good with? That was freaking easy. Wait, you only gave me that? Oh, okay, you gave me a beat. I'll take that. Sweet. I saw that that thing too. Thank you for the hints. Appreciate it. That was freaking sick. Money? Oh. Boo. Is the stream like freezing for you a lot? What the fuck is that? Oh god, this place is freaking creepy. No, it just did. Okay, crap. Sorry, man. I'm trying to. Oh, okay. So this just leads to the top layer of this. Okay. What the frick is this thing? Oh. Well, I guess we're coming down here. Alright. Well, now I'm fighting you again. Oh, okay. I didn't really need a job down here. Dude, I don't know when to attack this guy, man. This guy's pretty crazy. Goodness gracious. Oh, it freaking hurt. Oh, God. I haven't fought you in a hot minute. Fucking do this magic. Dude, I'm gonna hate fighting you. Holy crap. Is that all you freaking do? Straight at this idol. Oh, he doesn't even tear, huh? Yeah. Okay. I definitely screwed my chance. This is not good. That is not a good idea. You should not do that. Let's go in. Dude, this guy has 2 freaking dots? There's no way I'm killing that guy, dude. You have to use divine confetti to damage him? So, funny story. I don't think I've ever used an item in this game before, aside from health potions. Someone mentioned before that the divine confetti was absolute god tier, but... I should probably use this. Okay, let's try and go back before we end. Let's try and go back and get that idol. And not die. It's like to kill the spirit things. Yeah, I've never used the confetti before in 20 hours of gameplay. This guy wouldn't respawn, right? I'm shot he's gonna respawn. Okay. Okay, let me get this freaking idol in the stream on a good note. So how long have you been watching Sekiro for? Or watching / playing it? Okay, wait, where did I fall at? Is that a place I can go to? Yes, it is. Oh, bulging coin purse? Dude, it was right here and I freaking missed it. Are you kidding me? Wait, how much is a bulging one? I don't think I've ever had a bulging before. Purse overflowing ascending can be used to acquire. This is probably like 1,000, I'd imagine, because this is 100, this is 500, this is probably 1,000. I don't know. I'm enjoying with you here. Hey, thanks, man. Is this yeah, it is.
It's faint, but yes, I can hear it, as if it is calling out for someone, crying. Perhaps it is calling to me.
Hey.
Every now and then, yes, I can hear it. Give me a sign. Is it me you're calling to?
What's wrong?
Hmm? Oh, if it isn't the shinobi, following the sound brought me here. Can you hear it? It's faint.
I wonder if it was good bring him here. Whoa.
It's coming from this hole. You hear it, do you not?
I hear nothing.
I see. Perhaps
I thought he was talking about the guy back there. That's why I thought he was gonna die
nothing else matters.
when you're in love.
I must follow that melody. That melody calls to me. At least, I believe it does. I must follow that melody. How
Don't know.
is that then, please? I'd like to.
Okay, so this is the bottomless pit that it, yes, probably is.
Will you be cast out? Or throw yourself in?
What?
If you wish to go to the very depths of Ashina, then you'd best cast yourself out. Over there. The depths of Ashina are over there.
Thanks.
Will you be cast? Oh, the depths.
Alright, I'm gonna leave myself and you guys on a cliffhanger. It's 8 o'clock, which means we're gonna be ending. I feel like today's stream was pretty good though. I mean, it did take me a while to understand what the frick was happening, but there was no way I would have found this out without having someone else to help me out and to frickin' Google stuff. Let's be honest in here. But we have the idol, so when we stream again on Friday, we'll be able to get this guy. I want to thank you, Panda, for hanging out and helping me out and cheat. I know you're new to the streams. I stream Monday and Friday, 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. PST time. So it's not much, but it is something at least. So yeah, sorry about the confusion. I know I can understand it's frustrating to watch someone when they don't know what the fuck they're doing, and I die very easily and I fucking suck, but hope you enjoy. I would do my little podium scene I have, but I don't even know if it's working right now because everything is scuffed from my OBS. So. But yeah, thank you so much for joining, Panda. I hope to see you again next stream. As I said, I'll be live Friday. If you want to worry, if you wonder about my schedule, like what that would be online, it's in my panels. If you scroll down a little bit, it should be in there, along with some other spicy stuff. Not spicy, like inappropriate, just like good information. I feel like it was a good stream though. We did good. Where's the menu? There it is. Sorry for the freezing. Hopefully I'll get that figured out. I don't know when. Oh, frick something. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. Huge shout out to Panda for hanging out today. Thank you to for Eli, Slasher, and Anthony, and Sledge. Thank you guys for hanging out. You guys are freaking legends. I'll be live again Friday, playing some more Sekiro. Hey, Panda, thanks for the follow, my guy. Freaking legend. We only died a couple times this stream, which is kind of a plus. We're up to 159. That's not too bad. Thanks for the follow, Panda. You're a freaking legend, my guy. Yeah, I'll see you guys. Friday, Monday, Friday. Oh, might be doing an earlier stream, maybe on Wednesday or Thursday because I don't have work because it's Thanksgiving. But then again, it's Thanksgiving, so. But no promises. But I might be live earlier than Friday, but we'll see. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. Hope you have an amazing week and an amazing Thanksgiving, and I'll freaking see you guys later.